Ми тільки зробили обшивку, поміняли.
We only changed the lining and installed the floors, but the mechanism of the mill is original, from 1906.
At first, they looked at us like we were weirdos. They didn't understand why we needed this stuff.
Central Ukraine, 40 kilometers from the city of Cherkasy, several dozen houses are hidden among the wooded hills. The village of Cherkasy was becoming deserted, but locals came up with a way to attract more visitors. Oleksiy Zinchenko regularly meets tourist groups near this old mill. He has worked here since childhood. Now he is a tour guide and tells visitors how flour used to be ground. To make the lecture more interesting, he adds numerous amusing stories.
All this was creaking when the mill was working. It was dark, the wind was whistling. This is how tales about evil spirits appeared, but there are no witches here.
About 10 authentic windmills have been preserved in Ukraine. This one was restored by the entire village, although few locals believed in success.
It seemed to me that there was nothing interesting about it. It's just a mill, but it turned out that many people had never seen one before.
Through their combined efforts, locals also rebuilt an abandoned farm and turned it into a museum. The showpieces were found by villagers in their attics and gardens. Among them are an ancient Roman iron, medieval cannonballs, and mealing stones, which are about 2,000 years old. Other exhibits are from the 20th century.
The record is spinning. At least it used to spin. When 300 or 400 kids run around here, we come in the morning and have to call men to repair something.
In this museum, visitors are allowed to do anything they like. This exhibit can be twisted and twirled. Now we'll try to ground flour like it was done 100 years ago. We pull it up. We need to pull harder, but the flour is now finer.
If visitors come from a village, the tour starts with a grandma demonstrating everything herself. But if they are city dwellers, they say, "Oh, what is this?"
Local artisans revive crafts which used to be passed on from generation to generation, but are beginning to disappear since they're no longer used. Every guest is allowed to try their hand at them, even if their legs can't reach the equipment.
These bellows are over 100 years old. They were found in our village and brought here to show how blacksmiths used to work.
The museum workers preserve the memory of how their ancestors used to make paper from hemp and nettles, bake bread, and sculpt from clay.
They are genuine, and this is what makes them original. Sometimes people come specially to see the blacksmith. Others ask, why wasn't tour guide Trofimovich here today? People come here for their flair, because they're real. Everything here is real, and this is how we win people over.
Nazar Lavradenko convinced his fellow villagers to revive Cherkasy in this way. As a historian, he was interested in the past of his village and then started thinking about its future. A few years ago, he learned about a Ukrainian-Polish project called Reinventing the Village, which taught micro-entrepreneurship in villages.
We had a windmill and a monument to Maxim Zalizniak, but I had no idea how to incorporate this into the tourist economy. And thanks to the Poles, we found our niche and are gradually developing and improving it.
There are around 20 people working at the amusement park. Its revenues cannot compete with city attractions, but they're sufficient to develop new sites. For now, about 5% of the original idea has been implemented. Reported by Yevgenia Burda for UATV.